People travel for countless reasons, seeking adventure, chasing the sun, or simply searching for a new perspective on life. Sometimes, it's about escaping the familiar, and other times, it's about running toward the unknown. Each journey begins with a sense of curiosity, a desire to experience something different, to see the world through fresh eyes. But every so often, something unexpected grabs your attention, a headline that makes you stop in your tracks. One day, I stumbled across a story that seemed almost unbelievable. You can buy a wife in Kyrgyzstan for $35. The words leapt off the page, both shocking and confusing. It sounded absurd, even disturbing. Was this some kind of twisted reality, or just another piece of clickbait designed to provoke outrage? I found myself questioning everything I thought I knew about travel, culture, and the power of a headline. Headlines rarely tell the whole story. They're designed to grab attention, not to explain. I felt compelled to dig deeper, to move beyond the surface and uncover the truth behind the sensationalism. What was really happening in Kyrgyzstan? What did this headline actually mean for the people who lived there? My journey to Kyrgyzstan wasn't just about confirming or debunking a claim. It was about understanding a culture from the inside. I wanted to see the world through the eyes of the people who called this place home, to learn about their traditions, their values, and their everyday lives. So, I packed my bags for a country I barely knew, nestled in the heart of Central Asia, where ancient traditions run deep and the landscape is as rugged as it is beautiful. I was filled with anticipation and a little bit of apprehension, unsure of what I would find but determined to keep an open mind. The $35 wife was my entry point, but I suspected the real story would be far more nuanced, layered with history, culture, and personal experience. I knew that to truly understand, I would have to look beyond the headlines and listen to the voices of the people themselves. Was this a brutal reality, a misunderstood tradition, or something in between? The truth, I suspected, would not be simple. It would be complicated, emotional, and perhaps even uncomfortable at times. The only way to know was to go, to listen, and to keep an open mind. I needed to hear the stories firsthand, to witness the customs, and to ask the difficult questions that headlines never answer. This is the story of that journey, an exploration of a tradition both celebrated and condemned, a search for understanding in a world that is often quick to judge. It's about the people I met, the stories they shared, and the emotions surrounding marriage in this part of the world. It's about laughter, heartbreak, resilience, and the complexity of human relationships. Let's look past the headlines and see the humanity beneath. Let's try to understand the context, the history, and the real lives behind the sensational stories. Because understanding is a journey in itself, and it often begins with a single startling question, one that challenges us to see the world in a new light and to find empathy where we least expect it. To understand bride buying, you need to understand Kyrgyzstan. It's a landlocked country in Central Asia, defined by mountains, steppes, and a strong sense of community. Nomadic traditions and Soviet history shape daily life. Here, family and community matter more than individual desires. Major life decisions, especially marriage, are often collective. Hospitality is everywhere, but so are unwritten rules and ancient customs. The practice we're investigating exists within this complex social fabric. To judge it, we must first understand the world it comes from. The so-called bride buying is rooted in kizalakachu, bride kidnapping. Sometimes it's a consensual elopement, other times it's a forced abduction. The infamous $35 figure is a distortion of kalim, the bride price, a symbolic payment, not a purchase. Kalim is about family honor and alliance, not buying a person. The amount varies, often involving livestock or money, but never a fixed trivial sum. While bride kidnapping is illegal, enforcement is weak in rural areas. The practice blurs lines between tradition and crime, raising questions about consent and women's rights. Is it a cherished custom or a violation? The answer depends on whom you ask. In a remote village nestled in the mountains of Naran, I met Oskar, a respected elder whose life story reflects the traditions and complexities of his homeland. Sitting outside his weathered home, Oskar shared memories of his marriage, a story shaped by custom and circumstance. "I took my wife," he said, his voice steady, describing the practice of bride kidnapping. a tradition that has long been part of Kyrgyz culture, though it is now controversial and often condemned. His wife, Gulnara, was just a young woman then. She cried for days, overwhelmed by fear and uncertainty, as her family urged her to accept her new fate. The pressure was immense, and her voice was lost amid the expectations of her elders. Eventually, Gulnara put on the white scarf, a powerful symbol of marriage and submission in Kyrgyz tradition. With that gesture, she became Askar's wife, her future sealed by custom. Decades have passed since that day. Now, Askar and Gulnara are surrounded by children and grandchildren, their home filled with laughter, stories, and the warmth of family ties that have grown over the years. Gulnara, her eyes reflecting both sorrow and strength, quietly shared her side of the story. "I was terrified. I didn't know him. My family wouldn't take me back," she recalled, her voice barely above a whisper. She had no choice but to stay. Yet, as the years unfolded, she gradually found a sense of contentment. The pain of her early days softened, replaced by a quiet acceptance of her life's path. "He has been kind to me. I learned to love him, slowly, over time. My life is good now," Gulnara said, a gentle smile lighting her face, as she looked at her husband. Her story is a tapestry woven from trauma and acceptance, from coercion and eventual peace. It is a journey marked by pain, but also by resilience and the ability to find meaning in unexpected places. This is not a simple narrative. Happiness here was not chosen, but discovered through endurance and adaptation. Gulnara's life is a testament to the complicated ways people survive and even thrive within the boundaries of tradition. Her experience reveals the deep complexity of this tradition, where cultural heritage and personal suffering are tightly intertwined, and where the line between victimhood and agency is often blurred. It was undeniably a violation of her will, yet it led to a life filled with family, love, and moments of joy. The legacy of that day is bittersweet, marked by both loss and the creation of something lasting. Listening to Gulnara, I felt a deep sadness for what she endured, but also a profound respect for her resilience and the quiet strength with which she built her life. Her story lingers, a reminder of the enduring human spirit. The myth of the $35 wife is just that, a myth. Kalim, the bride price, is a ritual connecting families, not a transaction for a person. It can involve livestock, money, or symbolic gifts, and is about respect and alliance. The infamous figure likely comes from misunderstanding and sensationalism. In reality, Kalim is a complex negotiation, reflecting family honor and commitment. Reducing it to a price tag erases its cultural significance. The truth is far more nuanced and far more interesting. To truly understand the impact of these traditions, you must listen closely to the voices of the women themselves. Their stories are the key to grasping the emotional reality behind the headlines and statistics. Take Alina, for example, a young woman who was kidnapped, managed to escape, but then faced a new ordeal. Instead of comfort, she was met with rejection by her own family, who saw her as tainted by the experience. "My father said I brought disgrace. No one would marry me now," Alina recalls, her voice trembling with pain. The shame and isolation she felt were overwhelming, leaving her with nowhere to turn. Her pain was raw and unfiltered. With her family's support gone, her only refuge became a crisis center, where she could begin to process her trauma and find a sense of safety, if only temporarily. But not every story is the same. Others, like Aygul, have a different perspective. She embraced the idea of arranged marriage and the tradition of Kalim, trusting her parents' choices and believing in the values passed down through generations. "This is about building a strong family, not romance," she explained, her voice steady and confident. For her, tradition is a source of pride and security, not pain. For some women, these customs bring a sense of stability, belonging, and continuity. For others, they are a source of deep trauma, loss, and alienation. The same tradition can mean comfort to one and suffering to another. There is no single female perspective. Experiences range from acceptance and gratitude to resistance and heartbreak. Each woman's journey is shaped by her own circumstances, beliefs, and the support she receives. The emotional impact depends on many factors, whether there was consent, the strength of family bonds, and the attitudes of the wider community. Support can make all the difference in healing or deepening the wounds. Each woman's story is a testament to resilience, Some find peace and acceptance within tradition, while others summon the courage to fight for change, challenging the norms that have shaped their lives. The reality is a spectrum, not a single story. Every woman's experience adds a new layer to the complex emotional heart of the matter, reminding us that understanding requires empathy, openness, and a willingness to listen. Bride kidnapping is deeply controversial. From a human rights view, it's a violation, abduction, assault, forced marriage. Activists and the Kyrgyz government have fought to end it, but enforcement is weak. Many elders see themselves as protectors of tradition, not criminals. They fear Western values eroding their culture. Your families fall apart. Our ways keep us strong, one elder told me. It's easy to condemn from afar, but the issue is tangled in cultural anxiety and identity. The controversy is about more than one practice. It's a struggle between tradition and modernity. Navigating this means standing against violence while respecting cultural context. It's a delicate balance, with no easy answers. The conversation is ongoing. The future lies with Kyrgyzstan's youth. In Bishkek, students reject non-consensual bride kidnapping, calling it a crime, not tradition. They use social media and art to advocate for change, redefining Kyrgyz identity. They distinguish between consensual elopement and violent abduction. Yet, in rural areas, pressure to marry and uphold tradition remains strong. If you can't afford a wedding, taking a bride seems like the only option, one young man admitted. The generational divide is stark. Urban youth push for rights while rural communities cling to old ways. Change is slow and fraught with tension. The young are hopeful, but face immense challenges convincing their elders. Kyrgyzstan stands at a crossroads between tradition and progress. The outcome will shape the rights and futures of its women. My journey began with a sensational headline and ended with a deeper understanding. The $35 wife is a myth, masking a complex reality. I found stories of love, trauma, resilience, and change. The lesson is humility. Never judge a culture by its headlines. We must listen before we condemn, and recognize that our values are not universal. By engaging with difference, we learn about others and ourselves. This is a story about connection between families, communities, and cultures. Let's move beyond shock and seek understanding. Support organizations empowering women and promoting education. Stay curious, stay open-minded, and keep the conversation going.